Next week we have Randy Bruch, an illegal gringo in old Mexico. So yeah, this is the true life story of an American tourist seeking a retirement lifestyle as an expat in Mexico. While traveling by a bus to see the countryside, Mr. Bruch had seen many instances of immigration agents entering the bus to randomly check a few passengers for proper travel documents. When it finally happened to him, he quickly found out he did not have what was required. As an illegal alien without a visa or tourist visitation form, he was taken off the bus, his luggage pulled out, and the bus drove away. What followed was a hair-raising ordeal thrown at him in a language he did not speak, that included being imprisoned for 6 days in an immigration detention facility in Veracruz. It ended when he was accompanied by 2 Mexican immigration agents and deported to Houston, Texas. Somehow he managed his way back. So Randy Bruch was born and raised in a small football-crazy town in northwest Illinois, was stationed in Germany from 1975 to 1978, and he's stationed in the U.S. Army in Germany, 75 to 78, and then he moved to Alaska in 81. He lived in Anchorage to Wasilla area for 35 years. His first book, his own true life story, An Illegal Gringo in Old Mexico, is available on Amazon. Now we have this week's presentation. I've been very, very fortunate to have been on the periphery helping these good folks, and I can tell you they work tirelessly. So we're looking forward to a great presentation here. FoodBank Lakeside, Why is it important? By Steve Taylor. You may have a lot of questions about FoodBank on Lakeside, who they help, what they do with the money, what's a dispenser, and Steve will give us, along with several local coordinators, will be answering these questions and telling you of the 1 million peso challenge. So please give a warm, open circle welcome to Steve Taylor.
Okay, I hope this works. So far, so good. I am honored to be here, representing one of the community's most important charities. I see a lot of people, no doubt every one of you, supportive in some way of the very good causes here at Lakeside. You all know what drives you, what inspires you, what you are willing to support with your valuable time and your money. My 1 million peso challenge colleague, my wife Ann over here, are with you. In our younger years, we have supported the arts and babies' well-being, education from preschool to college, United Way, and our local food banks. We prioritize food banks for a very basic reason. Kids attending classes, mothers seeking work as it fits into their family schedules, disabled persons seeking more with their lives, artists doing their best work, seniors devoting time and energy to help make their later years more fruitful, and yet none of this can happen effectively if they remain hungry. You've got to fill their stomachs, or they will be distracted by that basic need to find food just to get them through every day. Ann and I once heard a speaker at a holiday gathering of unemployed people in Austin, Texas, eager for any reason to be joyous and, frankly, visibly depressed about not having jobs and not being able to afford much for seasonal activities. The speaker was a 60-something comedienne. She was wearing a nun's habit and a miniskirt. But amidst the long faces, she cheerfully asked the crowd who woke up that morning in their own bed, stood up and walked to the kitchen, opened up the refrigerator, and found some food, any food inside, even a jar of mustard. Everyone slowly raised their hands, and the comedian said, "Congratulations, you're living better than most of the world." FoodBank Lakeside embraces the rest of the world that resides within our communities. It was born out of a desire to respond to the negative impact of COVID-19 in our local communities especially. Job losses, closed businesses, little government help. It started giving out dispenses, basic pantry items such as beans, rice, oatmeal, milk, eggs, soap, toilet paper on April 6, 2020, not that long ago, in Ajijic and in San Antonio. By the fall of 2021, FoodBank Lakeside had given out more than 17,000 dispenses to more than 1,000 families. FoodBank started out serving those adversely affected by COVID-19. However, as volunteers worked in these communities, they were overwhelmed by the lack of food not traced to COVID, mainly among the elderly, the disabled, children, and others suffering from debilitating diseases, such as advanced diabetes. But now, COVID-19 is largely behind us. No more economic stimulus checks are issued, and they are not signed over to the food bank. No more staying away from social engagements, the money accumulating and then given to fight hunger, to support good causes like the food bank. A lot of locals who aren't expats are now back at work, but they are facing Mexican inflation at or approaching 10% a year. They're seeing prices for basic items, such as corn tortillas, go up in price, along with basic needs, such as gasoline. They are returning to their jobs, but not to better pay. They often work several jobs, not to get ahead, but to get by, barely. We're now getting past COVID, but many elderly are still older. Many of the invalids are still incapacitated. Many disabled are still infirm. And many other charitable resources are still scarce. You can see how they live in the poor housing. Households that include extended families, that can include cousins, nieces and nephews, brothers and sisters, and their children. Dispenses don't just help feed everyone. It means money not needed to pay for food instead can be used to buy cooking gas, pay for life, clothes for growing children, medicine to get well. Ann and I have been here about 6 months. We eagerly volunteered for FoodBank Lakeside, and were there when FoodBank leadership learned of dire developments. Post-COVID, that good news for all of us was offset by very bad news. We learned FoodBank Lakeside could run out of money by the end of this year, because those who gave in the years past during COVID now can spend their extra money to safely socialize and more. Yet the crying need of the hungry persists. Here to share what that looks like from their first-hand perspective are three of our local coordinators. I'd like to introduce Mark, who is going to introduce them, and they're going to speak now.
Now, yes, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I can hear myself. Good sign. So I'm not going to speak for long because, as Steve said, our local coordinators are going to share their stories. Local coordinators are our people that work with the local families that need the help. They are the ones that get to know them, interview them, but also keep track of them and see how they're doing and see who most in our communities needs the help, because our abilities are, we are very careful with what we do with the donations we receive. And so we want them to reach the people who most benefit from them and need them. So I'll just briefly tell you a little bit about my perspective and why these stories that they're going to share are so meaningful to me. So when I started with the food bank, it was in those early days of COVID when the economic shutdown affected a lot of families here very drastically. And the people who were already struggling to just earn one day to make enough pesos for their next meal suddenly didn't even have that to fight for. And now that we are in a better situation, that has reduced. However, getting to know a lot of these families, we realized that the position we were in is one very important, because there's a lot of people who have been struggling with chronic insecurity in terms of their food, knowing where their next meal is coming from. And I think the biggest impact that I've seen, that I think I want to set up as a context before I introduce the local coordinators, is that with this help that we've been offering, it isn't just trying to alleviate a struggle that's been hovering over them for a long time. It does a little more than that. And that is, it allows them to look forward to a future and focus on a future that there's an end to the food insecurity. There's an end to poor housing and bad beds and difficult situations and struggles with health. And so, while we don't want to undermine the reality of the difficulty of some of our neighbors, we don't want to just focus on a happy, positive message. Within the stories that you're going to hear, there is a very happy, hopeful, powerful future that we can look forward to if we work on this together. And there is an end in sight, and it might take a little longer than the 2.5 years we've been operating. To fix something that's been going on for a long time, it takes persistence, and that's what we are dead set on doing. We are here to stay, and I'm very happy and honored to be a part of that and to introduce our local coordinators. So Sandra and Mary are our local coordinators from Chapala, and they work with our Despensa distribution teams, and they'll tell you about some of the families and how they got to know them in that area. And then China, she's been working for about 3 years now with kids' kitchens in San Pedro. And so you'll see a broad variety of the different impacts that we're having thanks to our collaboration with volunteers and donors and local coordinators. So first is Sandra, and I'll be translating for her since her, English.
Hi, my name is Sandra. Sorry, I am nervous. Hay una casa a la orilla de un pequeño arroyo en Chapala. Los suelos son de tierra, las camas son colchones viejos y desgastados.
There is a house at the side of a little creek in Chapala. The floors are packed dirt, the beds are discarded, old and worn mattresses.
No hay puertas ni ventanas. En su lugar las aberturas se cierran con trapos. En esta casa vive la señora Carmen Martínez.
There are no doors or windows on the houses. Instead, the openings are closed using rags. And in that house lives Mrs. Carmen Martinez and her family.
Son 7 miembros, incluida una hija discapacitada. Cocinan a diario con leña, el gas siendo un lujo.
There are 7 of them in the family, including a disabled daughter, and they cook with firewood daily because gas is a luxury.
Como ellos no saben leer ni escribir, a lo que se dedican, se ganan la vida recogiendo latas de aluminio en las calles y vendiéndolas por kilos a la chatarrería.
Unable to read and write, they make a living by collecting aluminum cans and selling them by the kilo to the junkyard.
Mientras que el marido de Carmen vende paletas de hielo en las calles, lo que no se supone no son muchos ingresos para ellos.
While Carmen's husband sells popsicles in the streets, but that doesn't amount to much.
Son demasiado mayores para ser contratados en trabajos estables, así que hacen lo mejor que pueden con lo que tienen.
They are too old to be hired into stable jobs, so they do the best they can with what they have.
Han estado recibiendo ayuda de FoodBank Lakeside desde el comienzo de la pandemia, cuando los pocos ingresos que tenían se sumaron debido al cierre económico.
They've been receiving help from FoodBank Lakeside since the beginning of the pandemic, when what little income they had went away due to the economic shutdown.
Ahora han vuelto a trabajar, pero solo con sus ingresos, no tienen asegurada la comida en el día a día.
Now they're working again, but their income alone doesn't secure food on a daily basis.
La ayuda del Food Bank les permite estar seguros de que tendrán algo que comer. Así el poco dinero que ganan puede destinarse a otras necesidades para mejorar sus humildes vidas.
FoodBank's help allows them to be certain that they will have something to eat. So what little money they do earn can go towards other needs that'll better their humble lives.
Ya sean medicinas para su hija discapacitada, algunas mejoras básicas en la casa o simplemente ropa nueva, algo que necesitan.
So whether it's medicine for their disabled daughter, some basic home improvements, or just some new clothes.
Están muy agradecidos porque con la barriga llena pueden centrarse en mejorar sus vidas, aunque sea paso a paso.
They're very grateful because with a full tummy, they can focus on bettering their lives, even just step by step.
Dicen que es una bendición que FoodBank Lakeside esté ahí para ayudarles tanto en sus vidas.
They're very blessed. They say that they feel very blessed that FoodBank Lakeside is here to help them in their time of need. Sí, claro.
Pues yo quiero agradecer a cada uno de ustedes, cada persona que dona. Es un cambio enorme, enorme para las familias. Ayuda bastante porque en Chapala, en muchos lugares jamás había pasado esto. Hay muchas familias muy, muy pobres que te parte el corazón entrar a sus casas, ver cómo viven, cómo pasan tanta tempestad, tanta pobreza. Muchas gracias por todo.
Does that even need a translation? So I'll try to do it justice. I mean, it's very touching. She's saying thank you to everybody who donates and supports this work. It's just mind-blowing to see in Chapala the poverty that's been there for a long time, and this has never happened. This kind of support, this reaching out into the communities and helping the people that need it, and she knows them. She goes to those houses, and you can tell how much it impacts her, and how grateful she is on their behalf, and relating their great gratitude about the impact we're having together. It's just unheard of, unknown of. Mary?
Good morning. Good morning. Sandra made me cry. Let me see if I can do it. My name is Mary Fernandez. I am from Chapala, and I have been volunteer of this beautiful foundation for more than 2 years, which has allowed me experience satisfaction when I see the smiles of adults and children receiving their pantries. I would like to talk about a group of families served by FoodBank Lakeside, to whom I met 1 year ago searching for people who qualified for help. I went through a very narrow alley and at a private street, and I found a girl in her 20s. She was pregnant, taking care of 2 children, and she was sitting in a rock. I asked her if she knew of any family that needed pantry support, and she replied me very happy. Here, we are several families. She invited me to come in. She opened a gate made of bricks and cardboard. I entered and I found a small community of houses with some parts of recycled things and other structures with brick and cement, remarkably made by themselves. I got a big surprise when they began to come from, out from their small rooms and receive me so kindly. They were very open in their interviews, which were mostly related by the eldest of heads of the family. But in each little place also live sons, daughters, daughter-in-law, and several children. Addition to perhaps about 10 puppies and cats that come out to say hello to me. Most of them sister, brothers, sons, nephews, daughter-in-law, and children with very limited resources. According to what I have been told, several have health and addiction problems, as well children with special needs and problems, as in all families. But I could see that they support each other mutually in their challenges that they try to overcome on a daily basis. They have told me after a year that receive their pantries is a bless, and they are grateful because now they can offer nutritious food to their children and dogs and cats. They no longer go hungry for a few days at a time. That's thanks to that support. Instead, they have been able to buy medicines or pay basic needs and make some improvements in their houses since they don't need to worry about food as much. I would like to say that the motto of neighbors helping neighbors is perfect. Our donors have worked very hard in all their lives, and now they are able to donate a little of their precious money. Our volunteers donate their precious time and to do an optimally use of resources in a very intelligent ways. And we, the local coordinators, are grateful to be a bridge connecting food bank with the families in need. It becomes a real circle of love. It is a big source of satisfaction and gratitude, as well as honor to stand by our neighbors. Thank you very much. I have talked with the families, and I said I would like to hear what improvements you made since you received your pantry. And they sent me their things thanking for you, and they said they are very blessed, and they were able to do things like build a new sink because they used to wash their dishes in a bucket or something. One of them was able to buy a fridge because they was not using any fridge. Others, they are able to buy medicines or other needs that now they don't worry about the food, so they can do other stuff. Thank you very much. In their names and my name too.
Now for the kids' kitchens.
Sorry. Okay, I will present the project about the kids' kitchen. It has been a really, really beautiful project till Patricia started. She's a little bit shy, so she makes me to talk in English. But I will do the best I can, also for explaining what we are doing over there. I also want to explain a little bit that these communities are 45 minutes and 1 hour far away from here. So it's just like crossing to another reality in all the ways. It's just like really, really bad highway. Is a really, really bad environment where these kids grow. It makes me and okay, so the first thing is that we have the largest number of children received. and it's about kids 4 years old till 13 years old, and old people that are like getting sick with no help. So the families literally they don't eat for giving them money for eating, for getting medicines, and going to Ponzi Plan for help. It's really a very big cultural problem because these communities are not part of the government. It's like something about years ago till the conquest, so it's something like really old. And this has bring a lot of really big problems, bad education, not opportunities. Um, we have collapsed the system and the health centers, like in all the ways. The alcoholism in the community and the addictions are like growing every time more and every day more. And this, like, to think about giving up an opportunity for the kids for having a place where they could feel able to eat there, and they will be receiving like food to like twice a day. It's just a new way of perspective also for dreaming, for start being literally interact as normal kids, because they're not living a normal like life in all the ways, and these kids are growing with lots of different like problems. But the first thing is that they are malnutrition, and they can even go to school because they don't have like the strong and the just like the yes like the energy for studying, and for playing, and it's really sad. And till we start, and all these years it has been like really beautiful to see that these kids that now are 8 locations in 8 different localities on Mezcala and San Pedro, Itzican, is really beautiful to see that these kids are expressing in different ways. They can talk about their emotions in the art program that we have, or the library program, and they could also like start like playing and motivating for looking for a better life. And we have different volunteers of all the ages, and some of them they are like really motivated for studying university, for coming and be the lawyer of the community, the medical person in the community. So this is what we are looking for, that these people feel the root, like literally eating, see a better life and a new opportunity for making a new community with effort, and also with a lot of wisdom, because it's what we as community also need. And yes, it has been really beautiful, and it's a really, yes, like a really inspired part to see that it's just 800 of kids on the program, but this is 800 of dreams and 800 of new lives and new way of changing their little lives, and they could see that violence and everything that they are living in their homes, it could be changed, and it's not there's a solution. So this is like the step one. Actually, this part of growing, we are really like grateful about FoodBank to give the money for like buying the supplements and all that we are needing for the comedores, for the kitchen. And the second step is that we are having people that are helping us from Peru and Bolivia, and we are gonna grow a permaculture project over there for start making auto-sustentable the kitchens. And yes, we are really thankful for all of you, and it's really beautiful to see that there's a new solution, and there's wisdom, and it will be a new opportunity for these people, and for these kids, and for this program, and also for these families that are really desperate about their situation, because that is the reality. And yes, thank you very much.
So that was some direct first-hand experience and insight into the reality of the situation and also the impact that we can have. The more I've spent time looking at the situation, with time I'm getting more experience and wisdom, I suppose I would claim, about what we're seeing in our environment, in our neighborhoods here. And the conclusion is obviously that everything we could imagine about how difficult the situation is for some people is very real. But that's why also the solution is very real too. We're making impact and working together with them intimately, paying attention to the needs of the people in our neighborhoods, our neighbors, is allowing us to support them. And it's that, as you heard stories too, that is so touching, is that these are people that haven't had support in the distant past. So this is a very new thing, and I think we've seen a lot of growth from FoodBank and then the kids' kitchens. They've been expanding and doing a lot of, I don't even have the right words for it. It's filling a need, it's filling a vacuum that's been there for a long time. And I think it's a very, very, you need to experience it to really have a sense of how much impact it can have. So collaboration, I think, I'm just staring at the word here on my little, note sheet. And because collaboration is what we need, and we need that in this world. And that's from us as neighbors, getting each other's back, looking out for each other's needs, and making that difference. And it starts with food, because as hunger distracts from everything else. And from there, we collaborate then to give them other future. For example, you heard for the kids' kitchens, they have other programs like arts programs, so that they can be more expressive. And so, I don't know what else to add to that. It's just, I've been touched by this presentation today, so thank you to the local coordinators. And pass it back to Steve for the wrap-up. And thank you all for being here today with us.
On the topic of collaboration, there are two ways, obviously, to collaborate with this effort. One is donation, and the other is volunteering. If you're interested in volunteering for FoodBank Lakeside, I'm the guy to see. So corner me and we'll exchange information.
Tell a group to follow. Thank you, all of you, and all those who work with you, for the benefit of our clients and for the community, which is precious. We recognize we can't solve hunger alone. Partnerships of like-minded groups are essential, and particularly now. In fact, Mark here is in charge of partnerships for FoodBank, and we are trying to work with other organizations. We're not a silo, and we know that. A great example, we provide food for the kids' kitchen, as you heard, which feeds about 700, 800 kids in rural towns surrounding Lakeside. Most are indigenous natives who live and work in rural settings, and these lunches, too often, are their only nutritious meals of the day, and sometimes their only meal of the day. Finally, here are some numbers about FoodBank. 95. That's the percentage of each peso, each dollar, Canadian or American, that goes to our clients. That's because we have no office, no other buildings, no salaries, no staff. All of us are volunteers working from home. Costs are already cut to a minimum. 7. That's the number of local communities we serve. Ajijic, San Antonio, Riberas, Chapala, but also, as you heard, Santa Cruz, San Nicolas, and San Pedro. 700, that's the number of households which receive monthly dispenses from us. 700 again, that's the number of small children, and even a few mothers who have nowhere else to turn, who get free lunches at FoodBank supported kids' kitchens, almost all in impoverished communities surrounding Lakeside. 700 get again and again. One of the original FoodBank organizers, who happens to be sitting in front of me, I see you, Patty, estimated that there are 3 times as many households in Chapala alone who qualify for dispenses, but we can't offer them anything yet. It's worth noting here that FoodBank works with local coordinators to not just identify who should get our help, but also those who don't need our help anymore. Those now better off, though not flush by any means, are removed, so that others in more dire need can be assisted. Last month I interviewed a 68-year-old musician in Chapala who needed his dispenser when COVID was raging because his work opportunity to play music vanished. As the pandemic eased, he found more work because he's very good, and you should hear him sing. But he was removed from the list of getting those dispenses. And still, he volunteers on Saturday mornings in Chapala, giving out dispenses to others in dire need. 450,000. That's the number of pesos we need to reach our goal of 1 million pesos by December 31st. Also, feeding the hungry cannot just be a holiday season concern. We need funds now, but we can also use smaller amounts every month, donated, say, once a month for 12 months on your credit card or through your bank account. And you can find information over here about that. We need a steady flow of income during the year. There is more information at the table about the Million Peso Challenge and in the auto payments, so please go check it out. Please learn more. I will close with 2 quotes. The first is from Chef Jose Andres, founder of World Central Kitchen, who always seems to be showing up following a hurricane, a war, or some other disaster. It leaves hunger in its wake. He said, food is national security. Food is economy. It is employment, energy, history. Food is everything. The other quote is from Anne Frank, and I don't think I need to tell you who Anne Frank is. Hunger is not a problem. It is an obscenity. How wonderful it is, and nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world. Thank you all for coming. Please learn more. The time is now to help us out. Would you start here? Let's stay here.
Do we have time for my own? Yeah? Time? For questions, so if anyone has any questions about the program, raise your hand, I'll bring you a mic and you can ask away. Well, everyone hates putting their first hand to go up, you know? After that, there's a...
Well, I have a question for you. How many cried during those presentations? Oh, yeah. Me too.
It really is a life-changing and a soul-changing program, as you can see from the presentation.
Yeah.
So, we have a question here. Do you want to have a mic? You have to be careful.
I just wondered, when you give out the dispenses to families, do they have a place where they go to pick them up, or do you take it to them?
The answer is both. I have been on a ride that was organized by Patty and some of her volunteers in San Antonio, where they went around to the households, particularly the older people who can't go, or people who have kids who can't be left or can't be brought with them too easily, and so they're often delivered. But I've also been to Chapala, where Patty also organized the giveaway, where I met the musician. And if you go to our website, there's a really great photo by Bruce Dugdale that talks about it. It has the line of mothers and individuals with rolling carts to pick up all their food and then walk all the way home with that food at a place in downtown Chapala. So the answer is both, depending on their needs. By the way, if you have any questions for our speakers, feel free to tell me and I will answer them all.
This is kind of a technical question. I'm just curious, you have so many needs, both in rural communities and in Chapala, Ajijic, San Antonio. About what percentage of your donations go to the kids program versus the family dispenses?
I'm not sure what the answer is, but you know, go ahead, Ben.
About 45% of the donations go to the kids' kitchens, and 55% go to dispenses for the families.
Thank you. Very impressive, and I'm sure that many people here will make generous donations. I'm wondering what your marketing strategy is to reach even more people, to get to all the expat areas around Lakeside in order to get more and more people involved.
Well, you know, we're a pretty young organization. We only started at the beginning of COVID in 2020. I have been on the board of food banks elsewhere, and there are stages where you grow. I think we've kind of reached an inflection point right now where it needs to grow, and we need to do more of that. We are in the, there's going to be a strategy session involving the leadership. I think, I don't know where Jeff is it next month?
This month.
This month. And that's going to start the process where we're going to look, you know, what is your 5-year plan or something along those lines? What is your 10-year plan? Where are we going? How can we expand the pool of people who are supportive, and also, and at the same time, expand the people who are being helped while keeping a lid on costs as best you can. Yes, ma'am.
Just to put it in perspective, 1 million pesos is about 50,000 US.
Not true. Well, yes, true. Yes, that's true.
Okay, so, and you have reached so far about half, you're saying?
A little over half
Okay.
so far. But it's worth pointing out that our expenses are relatively low. And Patty, please correct me if I'm wrong. Our costs are about 250,000 pesos a month, roughly. So if we can get 1 million, we've built a 4-month cushion for this organization to at least catch their breath, figure out how to go forward, and then frankly, you need to kind of keep a cushion continuously as opposed to running out of money on December 31st, which is what we faced when we first heard this.
Any more questions?
So, since I'm from India and we have similar problems there, I'm curious, have you found or find a way to partner with self-help groups and microfinance so that while you are helping them just, not go hungry every night, how can we help these communities help themselves?
Yeah.
And microcredit schemes and things like that. Is there such a culture here?
Yeah. Apparently, I think we need to develop that to a great extent. We do things, for example, like the kids' kitchens. Patty makes sure that we hire local moms, I think mostly, and grandmoms, to come and cook the food. And they will either get paid a modest amount, or they will get to take home some of the leftovers, which is a big deal too. So it's not a microeconomic type thing where they're developing businesses, but we are trying to provide help beyond that. I know in San Antonio, some of the dispenses that Patty helped, I saw organize, came from one of the tiendas in the downtown. That would help and keep the tienda in business, which is also important to the community because they need to go down and get things. And it's also, I noticed, a tienda that sells vegetables and fruit, which was amazing. And that's the kind of thing you need to get into these poorer communities. You need to get variety. It can't all be Coca-Cola.
Any,
Quick question. Will you be passing a basket for donations right now?
We are not supposed to be asking for those here. But there is a table where you can talk to people in. And they were gracious enough to let us have the table, but not from this microphone. I'm not allowed to ask for donations.
Well, I'm asking now from my mouth, okay?
I encourage you to go to the table.
I hope that you encourage people to eat healthily as you do this, rather than chips and those orange things
No.
that they eat, and babies and so forth.
A lot of the things are filling because they need to be full, but no, I don't think you see anything like that. Did you want to add something, Steve?
I just wanted to say that when we first started, sugar was on the list of dispense items, and that went away pretty quickly.
Oh,
For that very
okay.
reason.
That's interesting. Okay.
any more questions? No? Okay, well, Steve, once again, thank you
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. That's why see you 3 times. Thank you very much. Please go to the table if you can. Thank you.